All right, Shalom. All right, let me get straight into this lesson. But I was actually working on another lesson, right? And the Spirit moved me to do this lesson, right? And you got to go, whatever the Spirit say, do. So this had been on my spirit for like a few weeks as well. So it's been kind of burning for me to do this lesson. But I want to make this very important point. When you read the Bible, you have the vision, right? Your mental imagery, right? In your mind, what you see in your mind, your imagination need to line up to the truth. What do I mean with this? Right. So it's many things to learn. So you need to be learning something new every day. It's always something to learn. When you see like Isaiah, for instance, right? When you read these scriptures, right, you need to imagine the people to look like so-called black people, right, in your mind. Because what you've been presented, right, in the so-called white man movies, his magazines, his books, his cartoons, his TV shows, right, his biblical art, etc., as the people out of the Bible to be so-called white people. And this is nothing but a lie. This is modern day witchcraft on your mind. This is psychological warfare to the highest degree. So when you think about, and that's why Jake's going to some other folly when they find out some truth, right? They'll go to the black unconscious community. They'll get into Islam, right? Because they don't want to be associated. All right. They think the Bible is a so-called white man book. A lot of bug eyes actually think King James was a so-called white man, right? And they think he actually wrote the Bible. They're going to show you how stupid and unlearned our people is. They don't look stuff up. King James was a so-called black man, and he did not write the Bible. He had it translated by scholars. You have to understand that he just authorized it. He put the money behind it to make it real simple so you can get it, right? And you have biblical translators that actually translated the Bible from Hebrew and Greek and Latin into English, right? But getting back to the point, when you think about all the people in the Bible as being so-called white people, right? This is a great witchcraft that's on your mind, and that affects your mental imagery when you think about the Bible and the people of the Bible. So let me go back here. So Isaiah was a so-called black man. He was actually from the tribe of Judah. In the southern kingdom, right, was known for being so-called black men, right? So this would be a more accurate depiction of how the prophet Isaiah looked, right? And another thing you really have to understand, all right, Isaiah wasn't his true name. That is a translation into English, so we can understand in English. But he had a Hebrew name because he was a Hebrew Israelite. That's where we descend from, right? His true name was Yeshaya, Yah, right? And this is a more accurate depiction of how he looked. And all the prophets out of the Bible, right, was pretty much all so-called black men, right? That's something you have to really wrap your mind around, because once you understand that, that means you can read the Bible, you could be connected with it, right? That's like, because it's talking about your people. It's not talking about so-called white people, but you have to see that in your mind. So and that brings you a more intimate connection with the Bible. It pulls you in because it's about your people. That's something very important. So the Spirit was like, talk about this, go into a lesson and do this, Ezekiel. And we're not saying this exactly how they looked, but this will be a more accurate depiction of the true Israelites, the biblical Israelites. All right, let me read this real quick. All right, it says Isaiah, I'm actually reading out my Bible. It says Isaiah is like a miniature Bible. It's full of prophecies, right? It's full of a lot of stuff. All right. It says, let me get to the meat. It says Judah has sinned. And this is another thing you really have to understand too. The whole Bible is only dealing with the Israelites. And for for our people that don't quite get it, there's something that they can't really understand. Why? Because they've been taught a particular way. You have to break those mental chains off your mind and be able to understand the truth. Right? So this is going back into, let me get back. I kind of lost my train of thought. Let me get back into this. Uh It says the New Testament declares message of hope. The Messiah is coming as a savior and a sovereign to bear a cross and wear a crown. It says Isaiah's prophetic ministry spanning and reigns 4 kings of Judah. You hear this? And Isaiah's true name was Yeshaya, which that means Yahweh is salvation, right? So a lot of times we incorporate the Most High, part of the Most High name inside of our name, right? So that's something you have to really understand, right? But this would be more accurate depiction of the true biblical ancient Israelites that we descend from. You know what I'm saying? And let's go back here. I'm going to get into this first scripture. So we've been set up to bring this truth to you to liberate your mind from the captivity of this place, America, Babylon, right? Because you've been taught nothing but lies, whether you know it or not. All right? A lot of our people are too proud to understand this. All right, let's go here. 2 Corinthians 10:5, KJB. All right, let me get to the point. The very top, it says casting down imaginations. I'm gonna get into that term imagination. So we casting these lies down, what you've been taught, what you have in your mind, these images, right? Your mental imagery. It says, in every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, right? And bringing into captivity every thought, right? To the obedience of Hamashiach, and it's on many different levels, but you bring it into captivity, right? To line up with truth, right? Let's go to the top. It says, New Living Translation. It says, we destroy every proud obstacle that keeps people from knowing God, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. It says we captured their rebellious thoughts. You hear this? And teach them to obey Hamashiach, the Messiah, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. But let's deal with this the psychology of the mind. So when our people read the Bible, how they've been reading it, they mental images are usually form of what they've been taught, the images they were shown growing up, right? The images they saw in these movies, these magazines, these cartoons, that molds their reality, right? And there's a lot of things in these scriptures that will trip you up if you unlearned, right? So it's a very slow and tedious process to learn the truth because you've been taught everything all wrong, right? And a lot of times when people read certain things in the Bible, they already have a mental image that they see in their mind and is incorrect most of the time, right? So it's a whole vast amount of things, right, that you have to really be able to understand. It says mental image, right? I want to go to the top. It says in philosophy of mind, neuroscience, and cognitive science, a mental image is a experience that on most occasions significantly resembles the experience of perceiving. It says some object, event, or scene, but occurs when the relevant object, event, or scene is not actually present to the senses. You hear this? So it's something, it's like you creating a kind of like a movie in your mind. You seeing things in your mind, right? That's imagination. It says mental image. I'm going to find a pretty good one. Right here, this heavy at the very top. It says mental image. It says the idea that you have of someone or something in your mind. It says most people have a mental image of a perfect beach, right? So check that out. It says the idea that you have of someone or something in your mind. So when most of our people read this Bible, they envision the people to be so-called white people, which in actuality, the Isaiah, Ezekiel, right? They weren't even much their true names, but they were so-called black men, right? And all the other prophets, you know, King Solomon, right? Moses was not Moses mistaken for an Egyptian. Paul was a so-called black man. I did a lesson on that, right? So that brings you the truth, right? And it brings let me see, let me go to this word imagination. It says imagination, the faculty or action of forming new ideas or images or concepts. You hear this? Let me see if I can find another good one. It says at the very top, it says the act or power of forming a mental image of something not present to the senses, right? But you get it, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, when you read the Bible, you got to envision in your mind as these being so-called black people, all right? And the prophets and the the men of the Lord, right? All this is a so-called black man book, right? Including other tribes. But let's go here. So this is why you have to have a spiritual rebirth, which goes back into a mental rebirth. What is this? How you do it? It says rebirth, a psychological rebirth and transformation, right? That's not what I'm looking for. I'm trying to look for something very particular. Salakia. Let's go up here. It says sometimes life. I don't really like that one. It was one I was looking for in particular. Can't find it. Give me 1 second. All right, this is the one I had. This is the one I wanted at the very top. It says rebirth. It says inner transformation is primarily a death and rebirth. So we slay the old man or the old woman, right? If you're a woman and you put on the new man or the new woman, right? In the spiritual sense, it says the death of an old identity. You hear this? And the birth of a new one on a deeper, on a deeper level of reality. That's heavy, right? So we got to come off that low level we've been on, vibrating on the low level. You have to vibrate on the high spiritual level and be able to understand spiritual things, right? All right. Again, your mental imagery, right? When you read the Bible, need to line up to the truth, right? Moses was, like I said, Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian, and we know how the true Egyptians look, right? 1 second. And again, knowing that right here, this right here is all witchcraft, right? This is all lies, right? Look, they got Jacob as a so-called white man. You see this? This is Hollywood witchcraft, right? And it's blasphemy, right? Nothing but lie. But it plays on the psyche of the mind, right? If this is not dealt with, right? So you have to vision the people out of the Bible, all right, to look like so-called black people. And again, that brings that connection that you are the people, because we are the people, right? Hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Hala Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakha Kodesh. Shalom.